There you go.
Okay. So to start off, I wrote us like a little prelude, just so that we get like a better background. And so it says, the year is 2020, Donald Trump in the United States and Kim Jong-un in North Korea declare a nuclear war against each other. And the next year, much like in previous world wars, many other countries become involved on each side. Trump commands all Americans in Hawaii to evacuate and find a safer country because of what happened in Pearl Harbor. He felt like it was an easy target. Soon after, nuclear weapons are released, leaving very few survivors, and Hawaii was left uninhabited and unharmed by nuclear weaponry. So a small group of survivors, scarred from the war and devastated from the loss that they suffered, declared that for the rest of their life on Earth there would be no war. And then they moved to Hawaii. And then, no matter the quarrel, they learned firsthand what war does. They vowed to take in any survivor and live in peace.
Like, it pretty much covers what we talked about last time.
Yeah, just like puts it all together.
How many people are in the United States with population size?
Few billion, huh?
Oh, yeah,
Like 5 billion?
No.
Jeez. There's 7 billion.
There's 7 billion people in the world.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's million.
So,
It is some research.
no, I think there's like a billion.
And it only like if
I think it's
it was
less than a
dropped
billion.
in New York, only 385,660 people would die, and like a bunch of injuries. But that's what I'm saying. I think there's gonna be a lot of survivors.
Yeah, but
But
what if
why
it's
is
more
it-
than just one nuke?
Yeah, I feel
What
like
if
there's
it's
gonna be
like
multiple
nuke,
nukes.
Yeah,
at one
like,
time.
it's a nuclear war.
I feel like
Yeah.
it's
There's
not.
gonna be nukes flying left and
And
right.
then, like, because like all the other countries are being involved too, then like there's nukes in Europe, there's nukes everywhere. So
Russia.
So it's just not.
there's enough. There's only people left on the earth to go to Hawaii.
So you're saying like
That
the
makes-
nuke
I don't think that that's a
bombs.
thing.
Wait, Hannah.
I don't think that that's very like you're. Like, we want that to happen, but I don't think that would happen.
If everyone nukes everyone.
I think there
It's
will not just
definitely,
be.
it's not impossible.
I know, but I feel
Like
like there's
France
gonna be a
has
lot more people.
Russia has
than
Are we gonna have allies
live
in
on
this?
Hawaii.
But think,
At all?
when
Yeah, but
the
no,
nuclear
that-
war starts,
Yeah.
think of how many people will have access to shelters or somewhere that they can survive.
So are we talking like
Yeah, so a lot of people are gonna survive.
No, not
No.
that many people
No.
is what he's saying.
I thought you said that like there'd be survivors, but just a bunch of injuries.
No. there would
Well,
be
she says like
There's a lot of
specifically if it one nuke.
385,000 deaths and 632
One nuke in New York.
or 632,000.
And
so
that's
just
like
one in the U.S.
and
Just
that's
one nuke
like
in the
There's
US.
just
about
one in New York.
and that's like
A highly
that's probably
populated
talking
area.
about like at the time it goes off, not to mention like the radiation that'll spread and
No, that's
the
including
effects.
because it takes 7 to. That's including what would happen after radiation poisoning, because it takes anywhere from several hours to several weeks.
Well, I mean, like we've learned. I'm pretty sure
Not only
terrorists
that,
would
but-
bomb like New York, Washington.
11.8 square kilometers are affected, so 90 to 50% mortality rate due to the radiation.
Not only that, but like that would be one nuke, and radiation doesn't really just dissipate within a week.
This is true, and it causes earthquakes.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah,
so it
so
could
maybe
lead to
that
other natural
earthquakes too
disasters,
will-
Tsunamis.
sinkholes,
I like it.
different
Alright, we
things.
can go in further there.
So we decided that it's a nuclear attack on North Korea.
Well, it's
That's
nuclear
good.
war.
War.
Yeah, the globe.
By all of us.
Okay, but what I'm
So it's
saying
the
is,
whole globe.
what
It's
I'm
not
saying
just
is maybe
the
we shouldn't be like. I mean, obviously we're gonna welcome people who survive, but I think that we should also think about like only like let's just say that only like 5 people in our area survived. It's us 5 until we left.
Yeah, and then we
like
just
along
start
the way
to
we
take
found
in-
people.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
And like
On our
it's
way to
open to
Hawaii.
people.
Other
That's why
people are
we
still
like,
alive elsewhere, but
Yeah.
we're just taking in.
How would we put up the message?
We
that
don't.
Well, we don't. They
We're not
Find us,
probably
they find
advertising
us.
on this way.
yeah, they'd probably hear
And
about
Well,
it.
we
from
go-
national-
It
well,
won't be
later on
news,
we
there
go-
probably won't be radio. Like I find that.
Later on, we go look for. We like have
And I'm
voyagers
sure-
who go look for survivors.
And I'm sure there's people that would remain away from us because they probably would want
But
something
I'm
their
just
way.
worried that
They would
eventually
probably
Hawaii is
live
gonna
with,
become too small.
they would probably live
Yeah, it's
within
gonna
like a
be overpopulated.
post-apocalyptic world where they would like scavenge for weaponry
Yeah, they want to do that.
and like just
And
be
we just
like
wanna go to the
be
next place.
Yeah.
savages, you know.
Well, I'm just worried that we're gonna become overpopulated because Hawaii is really small.
It's not that small. It's
pretty
not
small.
super
It's
small.
got a bunch of different islands.
Yeah,
It's
with
pretty big
multiple
for an
islands.
island.
Yeah,
For an island, yeah, but
the main island.
But
is
we're not
pretty
taking in everyone.
so how do we decide that?
Well, it's whoever shows up.
But yeah, there's 5 of us.
just comforts.
And then we just start taking in survivors. What's the maximum we're gonna
I
get?
know, but like
12,000
eventually, are we
so-
gonna say like no more? People can come.
Well, we had discussed at the beginning, we would set, there would be no limit of
Yeah.
reproduction, but then eventually we would probably have to put
And then-
limits on it.
Like a boundary.
Yeah.
And then at the same time,
And
I
I-
mean, with the people who are like not like willing to be peaceful, we decided we're just
Yeah,
kicking them
so
out.
like if they
What
don't
about-
obey
what about,
rules or
like-
they try to be troublemakers, we send them.
What about criminals though?
Exile
Would
them.
we have to, like, say
Exile.
like,
That's what we were saying.
Exile
Exile.
straight to the nuclear
Well, like
spot.
we said, we'd either exile them depending on the punishment, or if it was like not that bad, we would send them out to like look for.
They're the ones who have to go through like all the
To the-
nuclear
yeah.
rubbish and pick up survivors.
Cause like if they come back, good for us, they have materials. But if they don't, they were bad people. So yeah, it's an exile. Okay. So what else were we gonna discuss? Oh, the flag, right? Unless you guys had something else to talk about.
did we already come up with like our statement for what we stand for? Cause I actually say that we like, our statement is like we're built on hope. Basically.
Hope and like becoming a new, like
Rebirth.
the rebirth. And I don't know, having respect for what people take for granted, I guess.
Yeah, because now we
We
I mean
know
like
what
we've
have,
lost all of our loved ones,
more or less.
more or less, so we know what it's like. But okay, so what
You
do
have a motto, right?
Yeah, I have our motto. It's in quietness and confidence we shall find our strength.
And there's another one, right?
Oh yeah, diversity creates better teams, but I like the in quietness and confidence we shall find our strength. I think that should be a motto. Do you guys agree?
I feel like that's
And like our
powerful.
symbols could be a dove for peace, an anchor for stability.
Oh yeah, so that's what I was gonna discuss, the
well,
flag.
I like Suze's thing too.
Well, like, this is just a little thing I made, so we still could talk about it. That's like, it's a flag with two hands holding up a new plant, like being planted, I guess you could say. But that was just an idea, like, we could still talk about it. Like, I like Marcus's idea, because
Well,
he
I
had
think
some
we could
reasoning behind
incorporate
it.
them both. Like even the the new plant like that like comes out good, and then even if you just do that in the middle and then on the corners or whatever you do, you can incorporate them both.
Are we still gonna do the gold, white, and the 5 stars that we talked about?
Oh yeah, don't break the stars. But he put in like a salmon color because he said it's peaceful.
And like a baby blue. Colors that won't like, depict like anger and,
Like threatening?
yeah, threatening colors. But yeah, we still like to talk about that. Like, I liked his idea, because he had like, the anchor would stand for strength, he said, and stability. So yeah.
Bryan, form of government.
I'll research that, but I was thinking of, what was the name? I mean, you were discussing earlier, Hannah?
Totalitarian.
Totalitarian? I'll search more on that.
And then we had discussed the bartering system. Do we want like anything monetary, like value?
I feel like our monetary value could be like positions in like okay, so everyone's here and then
Like their trade?
yeah, you work and you work hard, and then you can like be like higher up in the system.
So like the trade you do, so like say a carpenter and a blacksmith, if they needed what each other had, they would just
So we would be able to
share, or they would exchange services.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Or goods, because like anyone
Goods
can
too.
sign up to go scavenge. Whatever they bring back, they're welcome to barter.
So
yeah,
they could,
and they can barter it for whatever plants or whatever they're.
But I think that we should stipulate that like anything that comes in that is scavenged, that somebody has to do like a government.
like yeah, they
Don't you
have
think our
a
government-
We don't want people
council.
like trading AKs.
Don't you think
shooting people
our
up.
government should create like safety healthcare plans and all that? So don't you think it should be like a mixed economy?
I feel like they would have to have somebody with the position of being a doctor, or you know,
So like,
I mean, out of all of the survivors we find, we're
Is there gonna
bound
be
to
any
find
form of money within this?
like
I
the
don't-
money system. I think
Like,
we
what
were
if you don't want to trade? Is there gonna
We
be
could
any
trade
form of money?
rocks.
No, but like I mean, what do we come out with? Like everything cut new.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know, but
So we don't have like dollars or anything. The only thing we have is
like
our
positions.
work
Yeah,
and possessions.
maybe
of-
if you have a nice
our
position.
skills and talents.
Yeah, I mean, you can exchange work for whatever.
oh yeah, that's true. You'll wanna
What were you saying before?
About the mixed economy or what?
Yeah.
That like, I think we should be like a mixed economy because like our government can create like safety programs like healthcare plans.
Oh, okay.
And then like
Well, I feel like with that, we wouldn't have to have like insurance since we're doing like, it's like a barter system.
Yeah, there's
So we
not
wouldn't
gonna
have
be
to
any
pay for
money to
anything.
get. The other thing I was gonna say is like how she told us to mention why we didn't want to be like a democracy, our republic is because like that's what we started to be founded off of here, like in America,
And
with
partly led to.
yeah, like and then now
the
I mean
country's
it's even
demise.
going towards like democracy being that, but like the tyranny of the majority, like that's what republic tries to avoid, but we're still like ending up with it. And then with our rights, like with the right to bear arms and everything, everyone's contesting that now because there's some psychopaths with guns, and so it's just like causing like a whole bunch of conflict, which I think is like contributing to the war and like making us weaker against other countries.
I agree.
okay, what's the next one? Transportation.
Planet or place, description of planet or place.
So
Are we only gonna do Hawaii and surrounding islands or what?
unless we would,
If
while
we wanna
while we had people scavenge, or we could have a certain group of people that like their skill set would be to go out and look for new places that are like as much like they're untouched from.
Yeah, because Hawaii was the only one we knew for sure because we remember that Donald Trump had them leave or
Yeah.
whatever.
But we could also scavenge for new places. You never know, because like you said, eventually we could probably overpopulate, so we'd have to move to a bigger place.
Yeah.
So we'd have people like always scavenging for goods and new places.
But I mean, then again, like scavenging to new places, it's gonna be kind of like how, like whenever Christopher Columbus came to America and then the Indians were already there, like there might already be a
Like Walking
group.
Dead.
There might already be a group, and since we don't want
Apocalyptic
war,
worlds. So maybe we could, like when we get to that bridge, we can cross
Cross
that.
it.
So yeah, we probably have to discuss with the people of that area
yeah.
about everything.
Alright, daily life. Jobs that, we talked about jobs that provide for community, Utopia, old people work, young go to school. Transportation, walking, Volkswagen, small cars.
And like I feel like in transportation we should have like a monorail. Be like one of those like those
Yeah,
trains
pulley system
or
of
like,
carts. or something.
something like that, like to get around the island. You know,
Wagon.
because
Right?
no,
No.
monorail.
I don't think you
It's
will
like
have
a
the
train.
technology at that time.
That's what I'm saying. We could probably make like a cart on a pulley
So
system.
like, are we like basing our Utopia off like making stuff? Because I thought like the Utopia was just like you know our own new world with like our own new
I feel like after
religions. Or
nuclear
it's
water,
like it's I feel like it's survival. I feel like our Utopia is like a survival.
well, it's
it's
starting
not
a new
more.
world.
We have to look at that, even this partnership and see, because there's a lot of things you need to talk about. You need to add more ideas to, I know, but, she said if we're doing Indian, Native American type government, what is it? Are we still gonna do that?
No.
No.
Okay, try not to react to what our country has become, but investigate or research what a true democracy stands for, or a true republic stands for. So Bryan, you're gonna do that.
Okay.
You can look at it and see if anything else.
Alright then.
But yeah, like he was saying about us making stuff, I feel like in after a nuclear war, like power grid's gonna shut down to nothing. Economy's gonna go down. You know what I mean? So at that
Well,
point, it's
there's
gonna
no more
be
economy.
fend for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So
Yeah.
we'd have to. We're rebuilding everything. Like I'm sure at the start, everything's gonna be real like Stone Age. Like we'd have to rely on pulley systems and physical
Nobody's
labor.
really gonna
that's
care
right,
what
yeah.
kind of government
Yeah.
that we have in the start.
And then
I
like
think.
eventually, I'm sure we could get it to where we make our technologies back up.
Oh, what
you
was
know
it?
what I mean?
Hannah? You told me? Totalitarian and what else?
Just look up totalitarian, democracy, republic, just look up types of government, and maybe we can decide on which one's best.
Because like republic sounds great, and like what Ms. Potter said is not to react on how our country has been, but we're just trying to get away from like everything
I'd love to.
that led to what happened. But but like every other like socialism, communism, I mean, the way you choose is by looking at what's happened in the past and seeing if it ever worked, and every time it fails. So it's like,
I think that's good.
yeah, other than that, we just gotta start, we should probably start working on
We need to do a
our
lot of
parts
research.
for the essay. We'll get like assigned
Yeah.
who's like most versed, like,
No, Miss Cotner, and every part of the essay has to be one of these essential things.
Okay.
I know that, it says that
So
in
one of these we're gonna flag, so he can work on the flag part.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying whoever's most